Hello, everyone, and welcome to what I imagine will be the best Gillcast of the year. Not the best for us, but the one that you guys are going to enjoy the most. This is the Sports Grid Fantasy Football Podcast. You might be listening to this on the RotoGrinders Daily Fantasy Football feed. I'm Davis Maddock, joined by Sammy Reed and Nate Noling. And, we kind of ended the show last week where we all had the same team, a cash without a sweat, and we were like, this is just not good content. Like, someone needs to lose. And well, guys, I just updated my spreadsheet before we got on here, and I turned in a cool minus 98.6% ROI week. So the people got what they've been asking for. A lot of fucking losers in my lineup.
Well, we're sitting here, after every podcast, just like, sorry, the show's not good. We're just winning so much money. We're just printing. And the fantasy gods decided that they were not going to have any more of that. And here we are, broken.
It was time for Davis to take it in the teeth.
Yeah.
Boy,
Davis, that's I'm sorry, buddy.
What can you do? I'm looking for some positive things. And the thing that I feel most thankful for today is that I did not spend like 580 American dollars to sit in the lower bowl of Chiefs Cowboys, because if you thought that I was distraught and upset right now, having to drive home 3 hours in the cold after watching what happened at Arrowhead tonight, I don't know if I would have made it. I might have just veered off or just hoped for someone, slept on the side of the road and hoped someone ran into my car or something, because it was just not a good day. Not a good day.
No. It wasn't a good day. Really, after the morning games, I had hope. And I was like, well,
Dallas, a little bit of hope, yeah.
Dallas KC will save us. They didn't save us, Chief. We got the blade. And, it was just really, really, really – that game was maybe one of the worst games of the day, I think. It like rivaled Baltimore and the Bears.
Taking expectation into account, it definitely was the worst game of the day. Because, every time I'm just like, this is it. This is the time that Mahomes is going to do it. It's going to explode the game. No, literally playing Mahomes in cash games on DraftKings.com and having him barely get to 10 points was one of the more tilting weeks in cash I've had that I can remember. And I made money in cash. It doesn't matter. It was tilting, to say the least.
I'm tilted that you made money in cash, Nate.
Did you guys share my feeling that this was a difficult week? Like I really wasn't decided on what I wanted to play until like 5 minutes before lock.
No.
I thought there were like 3-ish playable teams. Both of your guys' teams I had saved at one point. I thought that like, most of the time there's like one pretty clear optimal, but I thought that the cheap running back plays were all very similar this week, and they all had way more warts than they did like last week, for example. Like there were no warts on the cheap running back plays this week. And I thought other than Jeff Wilson Jr., every cheap running back play had a wart to some degree.
I had the same team. I was kind of confused as to why you seemed so shook this morning, to be totally honest. Same. You were shook, and both me and Sammy were like, I have the same team I've had since Thursday night.
Yeah.
Well, the main reason why is I wasn't considering McCaffrey at all. Like I didn't consider playing a McCaffrey team at all. And then once I started toying with McCaffrey teams, because ETR had McCaffrey projected like 6 or 7 points ahead of every other site. And I hadn't run optimals with a blended optimal yet. I'd just been using our stuff at DR. And then when I was running the blended optimals, I was starting to get more McCaffrey. And then Tua was coming in. And then for a second, Tyler Huntley was coming in. And it just like, there was just like so also for me, because I'm updating our projections and stuff, like at the same time that I'm working on these lineups. And so like, I'm just seeing how the numbers all sit and work together. And like, before docking Baltimore's offensive efficiency as a team and just using their baseline numbers, Huntley was projecting for like 18 DraftKings points because he was just projecting like Lamar. Yeah.
Yeah, I think too many. I think you got shook by the Tony Jones news. You got shook off.
I legit.
Yeah, Davis was worried about Tony Jones.
Yeah, like when I told you I was not like, I'm playing Mark Ingram, and you're like, aren't you worried? Tony Jones, bro. And I didn't love the Tony Jones news, but it wasn't going to take me off of Ingram. To me, I thought there was like the top 4 running backs for me all week were AJ Dillon. Obviously,
wait, stop. We can continue this in a second. Let's go through the scores and the teams real quick. So Nate played Patrick Mahomes, AJ Dillon, Mark Ingram, Michael Gallup, T. Higgins, Devontae Adams, Dallas Goedert, Jeff Wilson Jr., and the Browns defense. He scored 113.9. Sammy played Tua, AJ Dillon, Jeff Wilson Jr., Tyreek, Gallup, T, Cole Kmet, Christian McCaffrey in the Browns defense. That was the team I had waking up this morning. Sammy, I had that same team. And then I played Mahomes, AJ Dillon, Jeff Wilson Jr., Tyreek, Gallup, T. I played Dalton Schultz, David Montgomery, and the Browns defense.
Dude, no wonder. Wait, what was your score? You got to say it out loud.
Oh, yeah, 90. I just lost points. I got stat corrected. 91.9.
I mean,
David Montgomery, like, buddy, what was he owned in cash games?
Like 10%.
Dude, when you're like, I'm having such a tough time with this day, I don't know what to do, and then you flipped over David Montgomery, I thought you were trolling. Like, I didn't think it was serious.
I don't actually feel that bad. Like, he was the guy. He was in the aggregate optimal. He played 85% of the snaps last week. He played 94% this week. He led the slate in percentage of snaps played by the team.
Let me ask you a question, Davis. Can you pay your mortgage, or can your family eat with snap rate?
No, it really can't.
No.
He got one.
Davis. Yeah, like
you hate David Montgomery, bro.
I do. I hate David Montgomery. Really, I considered him and Ingram pretty close, but the
passing volume for Ingram should have put you over the edge. Ingram actually is used in the passing game and always had been. That was why I thought it was funny that everybody was so off of Ingram compared to a Jeff Wilson or anybody like that. Like,
yeah, but Montgomery got 2 targets in his return last week. He'd been targeted 4 times a game before he got hurt. It just felt.
The Bears just don't throw the ball. They throw the ball 15, 20 times.
Yeah, I mean, the case would be, the argument for why Montgomery was a bad play is just that the Bears are a bad offense that runs at a low volume. But those things are true of like DeAndre Swift and Najee Harris too.
Yeah. Well,
was David Montgomery the best play I've ever made? When I'm sitting here looking at, like, no, obviously, but when I'm sitting here looking at this lineup, I'm not like, oh, David Montgomery's really the guy that ruined this lineup. Like, David Montgomery is like, whatever, he didn't score a touchdown, so he didn't end up being a good play. Myles Gaskin scored a touchdown. Ingram caught 4 passes on the final drive, so he kind of got there.
Oh yeah, he got so much trash. Davis, do you want to rank the worst 3 plays of your lineup?
Well, the worst play is T. I mean, T just at this point, I never again. Like, if I ever post a lineup sending to you guys with T in it, just be like, fuck you, start over. Like, T is the worst. And Mahomes is actually the second worst because Mahomes was mentally weak. The correct play was Tua Tagovailoa.
That is incorrect.
No.
You know what the correct play was.
The correct play was Cameron Newton.
Cameron Newton, and we are all mentally weak bastards.
So mentally weak.
I am taking the L for all of us because, I mean, literally, I sent you guys a lineup on Monday, and then I had Cam Newton, and then we got worried about PJ Walker. PJ Walker, which was never, ever, ever going to happen. He was never going to get a snap. He was never going to cuck Cam. He was dust. It's over. And yet, for some ungodly reason,
it's unforgivable. It's completely unforgivable.
Unforgivable, and I lost hundreds because of this decision to play Tua, who throws like a 67-mile-an-hour fastball. I played him instead of Cam Newton, the GOAT, the swaggiest QB that ever lived, who can rush and pass and do all these things. I played Tua over Cam Newton. I am mentally freaking weak, and I need to self-exclude until I can get over this mental weakness.
It's really
It feels
it's
bad.
it's so bad because before, so our optimals when I was running them on Thursday were not all Cam, like it was like 65% Mahomes, 30% Cam, and then like a smattering of other guys in a 150 run. But it was clear Cam was like the best value play. And then I think I moved our stuff to 90% passing attempts Cam, 10% PJ Walker, 22% rushes Cam, 2% PJ Walker, whatever. But that was enough to swing it, 1.5 points or whatever to make 2 of the better points per dollar play. And
So
even
I just thought to
It's
myself, if I play a
unforgivable.
quarterback in cash who's not getting 100% of the snaps, I'm gonna
You're gonna tilt.
my face off,
Yeah.
and I couldn't do it. If I was, I mean, but still, it
is amongst the dumbest things that we have all collectively done. And like, there's been worse plays that we've all done as one. Like one of us has done something that is like so beyond stupid, but very rarely have we all 3 done something this dumb together.
That's right. This was us at our most mentally weak. So bad. Bad.
I also think T over Waddle is like similarly bad because we just know how fucking useless T Higgins is.
Well, I didn't have the money to get up.
I think my team was the only team that had the ability to choose, actually.
But you know what? I would have had the money if I had played Cam Newton instead of Tua.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I would have had the money.
Sammy, talk about running back, because you were the one who differentiated the most at running back. I mean, with CMC, I went the 3 value running backs of Dylan Wilson and Ingram.
Well, we all played Dylan and Wilson. And
I
played
Wilson. Davis went Galbrain and played Montgomery.
It was not. Nate, look at your numbers. I bet Montgomery and Ingram were separated by like 2 points, maybe.
No, Montgomery was like not even.
He was barely top 10. And slow and useless. I mean, come on, bro. Like
I'm like the number one Demon hater, but so like I don't know. Some weeks you're looking at all the projections and you're like, yeah, that I honestly I think I just leaned on the projection stuff as a crutch, finally making the decision because I just did feel lost.
I would have played Gaskin. I would have played Gaskin. I would have played Ingram. I mean, I did play Ingram.
Gaskin,
Montgomery.
Yeah. Gaskin and Montgomery are like the same play. They're both going to be Gaskin is going to make up for a little bit with his receiving volume, but Montgomery will be more efficient as a rusher.
Yeah, but also he's like playing the Jets. Like he's just so much more likely to have a game script that goes in his favor.
Enough. We've spent too much of this podcast on David freaking Montgomery. Sammy, talk to me about CMC, because I actually do think that was like a legitimate cash game discussion all week.
Yeah.
So I mean, the big point of inflection in the lineup was, do I pay up at quarterback and pay down for a value running back, or do I pay up at running back and pay down at QB? And I just think in cash, generally the right thing to do is to pay down at QB, because we've talked about this a million times. The ranges of outcomes in their scoring is quite a bit closer. And I just felt like so much less likely to get the blade. Like, I hate Mark Ingram. Like, Mark Ingram is like old David Montgomery, right?
No, dude. I think you're so much more likely to get the blade with a 5K wide receiver than like
a 5K running back. No, dude, Christian McCaffrey scored like 29, 28 points. Like, he's scoring over 25 every week.
I mean, I don't.
Without
let me
be
touchdown. Clear. I don't think what you did was bad. I just think that there are a limited number of roster spots, and the 5K running backs, pick a 5K running back that projects well. They're all just much better bets than your 5K wide receivers. Though what you ended up doing was paying down at tight end and at quarterback. How did you not play John Bates? Why have you lost your brand?
He's a blocker. He's a blocking tight end, man.
No, dude, he's not. Every Washington tight end has run 100% of the route. Like, there was no reason to not expect crazy usage from him, the same way that we saw with RSJ and with Thomas.
Crazy.
I mean, they're out there every snap.
I mean, they are, but like, I don't know, man. Like, here, when you start getting to like third string tight ends, You start like,
yeah, it's not like Ricky Seals Jones is good, dude. He's been on like every practice squad. In
yeah,
the
but
NFL.
RSJ is a receiving tight end, and when you start getting to third string, you start being like, are they just going to put this guy out for 100, or are they going to like bring one guy in for blocking and, you know, do this with another guy and like do a rotation? Like, you can't just say, oh yeah, this guy's going to come in and definitely play every snap. And on the flip side, Cole Kmet was not that much more.
To be clear though, he did. I mean, he ran 24 routes. He had 98% snap share. I mean, but he had the exact same usage.
I'm talking holistically. Like, anytime you get to a third string tight end, you can't just say, oh yeah, they're definitely going to use this guy like this. Like that's not how the NFL works.
Man who jammed Ross Dwelly has concerns over John Bates's athletic abilities.
He scored 2 touchdowns that day. Sometimes it's a feel thing. Sometimes it's a little bit more of an art. But I mean, Bates did outscore Kmet because like Kmet, who'd been getting 6-7 targets a game,
got cucked by Jimmy Graham.
Yeah, completely cucked. I mean, he was popping in the projections. He had a great point per dollar, and with the extra money, it was just like I didn't really see something specific that I could get. I felt a whole lot more secure.
Yeah, could have not played T. Higgins.
Yeah, I mean, that would have been really great in retrospect. That guy's a thief. That guy's a thief of
He's
my
a
money
thief of
and
joy
my happiness.
And a thief of money. Yeah.
But I mean, here's the thing about McCaffrey. I thought he had the upside that I didn't think any other player in that sphere could get between the quarterbacks. Obviously, a quarterback can smash, but like McCaffrey,
they get between 18 and 28, like 80% of the time.
Exactly.
Yeah, I just thought
McCaffrey's the guy. Not only he's the best fantasy player in all the land, and he's under 9K. I mean, he has the highest floor of any fantasy player, but he's also got a ceiling that rivals anybody as well. And it's like, look, dude, I can get this in, and all I have to do is like pay down at quarterback. Sweet. So to me, I knew my lineup would be quite a bit different because of that, because McCaffrey was not going to be widely owned in cash. And I actually played extra this week because I was like, bro, I know something everybody else doesn't, that McCaffrey's the all-time GOAT, and I am going to clean house this week. And it did not come to pass, my friends. It did not.
Well, I mean, Cam is stealing points from him at the moment.
Here was my thing on McCaffrey. Yeah. I actually thought, so I think McCaffrey, for me, like my running back rankings this week was Dillon, Wilson, McCaffrey, and then Ingram. I got off of it, McCaffrey solely because I do have questions of like, is CMC going to see that 100% workload that he used to see? Like his body is just more frail. I mean, you see him just limping off and then coming back out, and Chuba is getting work. And I thought Cam in the end zone is like
at the goal line. Yeah.
At the goal line is a legitimate threat to his workload. So at 8-9, like he was no longer the slam dunk play that he was at the beginning of the season or in years past. And so I just felt much better about these value running backs, knowing I could get up to a Devontae at wide receiver that I felt like so good about.
CMC smashed, but he got 18 touches today. You know what I mean? Like he didn't smash, but like he to Sammy's point, he got 18 touches, scored the receiving touchdown, like did his thing. But it is just a little bit different compared to that 2019 Panthers offense, you know?
It is. And I think that's more like what we're going to see from him. Like we're not going to continue to see these like where he used to have like basically 20 expected points on the ground and like 15 in the air. Like, I don't think we're going to see that again from him.
Yeah. Like somehow Kyle Allen was better for his fantasy value than Cam Newton is.
So I don't know. I also was just higher on Ingram than the field, I guess. I think too many people like watch football through a lens of like, do I think this guy is good versus, oh wait, this guy has seen a 15% target share and is at 5.4K and is going to get rushing workload. Like Ingram to me was a great play. And for him to be the lowest owned of all those running backs was surprising to me.
Tony Jones, bro. Aren't you worried?
Yeah. Weren't you worried about Tony Jones? I mean,
called up from the practice squad.
No, he didn't get called up from the practice squad. Tony Jones was playing like a lot at the beginning of the season before he got hurt. I mean, Tony Jones had, before he got injured, had a 35%, a 27%, and a 21% snap share in the games before he got injured. They liked Tony Jones. They cut Latavius Murray to use Tony Jones as that complement to Alvin Kamara.
Well, Mark Ingram ran like 76% of the rushing attempt share and like 22% of the target share.
I'm not saying that Ingram was a bad play. I don't think he was. I just did not feel nearly as confident in him as I did last week. That's all.
I mean, so this is twice that I've looked at the Saints and been like, yo, like this team could literally get shut out. I mean, they are in such a bad environment. I played the Philly DST in a lot of my GPPs. I was just like, dude, New Orleans is going to get rickrolled. And for the second straight week,
they did get rickrolled.
They did, but for the second straight week, they were feisty. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they kind of hung in the game. And Ingram, I mean, last week, Ingram scored a touchdown when they were like down 20. This week, he got like 4 receptions on that last drive to go from like snowflake to like decent value. And that's fantasy. Like, I don't want to say he lucked out. He was on the field for those things, but these are the reasons I didn't like Ingram. I didn't think he had any upside. Like, and I want upside. I want it.
Yeah. So, Sammy, you and I both played Tyreek over Devontae, and I don't even like. They literally, I've almost never seen two players projected so close. They were like literal like tenths of a decimal separating them. The reason why I played Tyreek over Devontae was because I had Mahomes. So I just and I like the late swap equity.
Yeah, I played Tyreek over Adams because I'm a mentally weak cucksuck. And I looked at my lineup and said, wow, I don't have any Chiefs in my cash lineup. I need to get some Chiefs. Like, how mentally weak is that? I literally lost money.
Not mentally strong.
It's not. I need to have Chiefs. Like, what an idiot. Like, that is just such asinine thinking. And I hate money. It's just like, you don't need to. You just
if the Cowboys
if this game goes the way that you thought it would have, this game could have buried you, Sammy.
Well, it didn't. Instead, Adams buried me.
Tyreek had 60 yards and 3 receptions on the first drive. Like Tyreek was very close to just like lose. Like had the Cowboys remained competitive in this game, we're looking at Tyreek, doing what he did in week 1, just like completely losing.
I had visions of Diggs like trying to jump a route on Tyreek and just getting roasted like Davis Maddox.
Tyreek had a legitimately bad game here and got 20.
Yeah, I think Tyreek Devontae was a coin flip.
Coin flip.
I got on the right side of it. I don't think it was because of anything sharp. It just happened to be that way. I just in general, Devontae, Tyreek and GPP, Devontae and cash. Like that's just where I'm going to be.
I tried to play.
That's right, Nate. I always say Tyreek is a crappy cash play because he's just so up and down.
No, that's like that dude.
That's old. That's like 2017 takes. He is like a target monster these days. He actually gets that volume.
He's got 40 targets or more than that over their last 3 games.
It's more of just Devontae's workload to me is like I just have, even at halftime, like there's no doubt Devontae's going to get his 30. Where with Tyreek, I don't know. Tyreek
has a question. Devontae Adams is never out of the game plan. He is always the number one guy.
Tyreek is also never out of the game plan.
Always the number one guy.
Tyreek has more targets, more receptions, more yards, and more touchdowns than Devontae Adams this year.
I'm sure, because Tyreek has had like multiple 40-point games.
I know, but the idea that Tyreek is like this volatile player that like disappears from the game plan sometime, it's not true. They don't have the luxury
not
of
disappears,
doing that
but he doesn't have the floor that Adams has.
He does.
True. I will say Adams' floor is slightly higher. Like in cash games.
Yeah, sure. Adams' stone floor is probably a little bit higher, but it's also not that Devontae Adams is completely immune. He literally did it last week. He had 7 for 78 last week. Like,
yeah, but this week he was in the dome, bro. He was in the dome.
He had 6 for 42. That we're 2 straight snowflake Devontae Adams games in a row. Like it's the idea that like, and I'm sure someone's listening to this being like, bro, you didn't play Adams over Reek. It's like, dude, they're literally are the biggest coin flips in DFS right now. Those two guys.
I lost the coin flip and I chose that end of the coin I had Adams at the beginning of the week, right? That first lineup I sent you guys. It was like Devontae.
I tried to play both with Huntley for a second.
I will say this though.
You should have done that. He was as good as Mahomes.
Even though he was better, probably.
Like Sammy, you were able to work it out where you were able to get both Tyreek and CMC. And I do think Tyreek Devontae is a coin flip, but I don't think Tyreek Devontae CMC is a coin flip. I think getting the wide receiver upside is
better. It's better because the person you replace them with is better too.
Yeah. A 5K running back in Mark Ingram and Devontae is much better than CMC and freaking T Higgins. Like it just, the running back value at 5K is much stronger than the wide receiver.
Actually, Tyler Huntley outscored Patrick Mahomes. I just want that to be on the record here.
Hey, can we tilt T Higgins a little bit more? I don't think this actually.
He's the new Mark Andrews. He is the new guy who just has led me to a space that is like I am mentally unwell when I think about him. However, if I again want to look on the positive side, now that we've seen him be cucked by Tyler Boyd in a game, now that we know that's in the realm of possibilities, I think I have freed myself of the tyranny of the median projections with T Higgins, because now we can move T Higgins' target share down. We can move Tyler Boyd's target share up. We can even adjust Cincinnati a little bit heavier on the run pass ratio. Like, it's just not happening for T Higgins, and I am over it. I'm done with it. He can't hurt me anymore. And I cannot with him anymore.
I think everything you said is fair, and I echo it. And I mean, how many times have we played T Higgins this year?
It's got to be the guy we played the most, I think.
Yeah, right? Like, I literally played him like 50% of the slates this year, and he never
probably
He's
more.
never gotten there. He's never gotten there.
He literally
gets 97 yards.
Is not.
He gets 97 yards, 3 yards away from the bonus. 1 week he gets down at the 1. The next week literally, this T Higgins thing is the most tilting thing week after week after week after week. And he's still, next week, I'm going to be looking at this again. And I hate this.
So since T Higgins returned from injury against, I believe he returned against the Jets. No, he returned against Green Bay. 7 for 32, 6 for 44, 15 targets, 7 receptions, 62 yards, 4 for 97, 6 for 78, and now thank God we got the 2 for 15, and we can just be done with them.
Yeah, only 85 yards short of the bonus this week, guys. You almost got there.
This is like the first week he's had expected points under double digits, so it's like maybe I will not be able to not play him next week. But
I mean, I don't even know who the Bengals play next week, but maybe he will actually be a good. Okay, they play the Steelers next week. Maybe he'll be a good tournament play, but probably not even. Probably Chase will just do it again because Chase is just way better than him.
Yeah. Chase is an alpha, and then you got the betas and Boyd and Uzoma.
Chase only got 6 targets,
and they just share the beta work.
This is just a bad game. I mean, Chase only got 6 targets too. It was really Tyler Boyd this week that saw most of the.
I mean, they just destroyed Burrow threw 29 times, and
they didn't even destroy him. The game was just ugly. I think it was 10-6 at halftime, and then 13-6, and then Chase got 1 touchdown, and they got a Mixon touchdown at the end. But Vegas is just weak sauce. Like, they just don't have it.
Yeah,
that's all there is.
Which everybody knows. Everyone knows the Raiders suck.
Yeah.
Talk about the fakest start. Remember after 2-3 weeks of the season, people were like, is
dude,
Vegas for real?
Why don't you go do a Google News search for Derek Carr MVP, and just in October there'll be a bunch of them, and then there's never been a Derek Carr MVP article published in November ever.
Are we discounting the loss of offensive genius John Gruden after?
Oh shit! No, but I did want to talk about this. Thank you for reminding me.
You're welcome.
I started to get bad vibes about the Cowboys game, not only because of the Amari Cooper COVID, but Tyron Smith was out for this game too. So you lose your left tackle, and you lose not your best wide receiver, but probably schematically Amari is their most important because he plays. He goes outside on both sides and plays the slot, and he's their motion guy a lot of the time. And obviously I didn't do anything about it. I just played a shit ton of Cowboys Chiefs anyways.
Yeah, you weren't worried at all.
No, I was, but I didn't do anything about it. just out of pure FOMO. Like the only way I have to explain how I played today in tournaments was FOMO, that Chiefs Cowboys would be Chiefs Rams part 2, and that the ownership stuff wouldn't matter because so many guys were going to be scoring points in that game. But I mean, I think clearly watching that game, I think the loss of Amari Cooper seemed to be pretty big. Like their offense looked terrible in the first half, even before CD got concussed.
Their offense really does need CD on the inside, Gallup, and Amari on the outside.
They just needs to have the ability to move them. They just has to. You have to be able to move them.
Well, I mean, I think it's pretty clear Gallup is more successful outside. CD does, and I know you guys like roasted me earlier in the year when I had that take, but like CD is just more successful in the slot.
Dude, he's a full outside wide receiver. He's barely played in the slot this year.
That's not true, Davis.
Dude, it is.
When they're all healthy, he's been playing in the slot.
Davis, and every time he's in the slot, he's more successful. His yards per target, his yards per route.
Well, for every wide receiver. So for every
he does
wide
not
receiver,
succeed on the outside the way that you think he does.
But CD has only played on the year 26% of his snaps out of the slot. That's 7th of Dallas Cowboys wide receivers in terms of slot percentage.
Because he's been forced there because of all the injuries.
Yeah,
but when everything is optimal, when CD's at his best, it's when he's on the inside. When Gallup's on the outside, when Cooper's on the outside, that's when the offense is running at its best. But at the end of the day, we all played Gallup. We all played Higgins. We don't need to sweat that anymore. Gallup could have broken
the slate on the first play from scrimmage.
Broken the slate at 80% ownership.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying in terms of like you couldn't win without him because he was so owned.
Yeah. Gallup you needed, I think, in cash games. He was like a very clear, like he was in play before the Cooper news, and then after the Cooper news, he was a smash. Tight end, yeah. I went different than you guys. I went Goddard and was shocked at how low his ownership was.
You deserve to get paid for that. He was down at the 1 and really should have been in.
Yeah,
and then
he rolled over a defender and was definitely in the end.
And he had a very ticky-tack offense OPI called as well.
And the OPI wasn't even on him; it was on somebody else across the field.
Oh, I didn't even catch that.
Oh, I was so tilted. He caught 2 touchdowns, and neither one counted. I mean, he should have smashed. And he was at like, I just don't know why nobody played him.
Because everybody at that price point played Schultz.
Yeah,
is why.
Yeah. In the massive $25 double up, Schultz was 12%. I'm looking at the SPY. So he's going to be, let me find. But I played Schultz.
Yeah. But I think the thing is that Schultz obviously should have and did have more volume because because Cooper.
I mean, Schultz got plenty of like his role is fine.
Yeah. But I think he probably like projected. You can tell me this better than I don't. We
had Goddard a little better.
But the challenge with Goddard is that the last couple of weeks the Eagles have like
they might throw 16 times.
Exactly. Any other team, like he's just got I think he's a fantastic play. He's just got a low floor because if they get up, like they have no interest in throwing the ball.
I mean, we have Goddard projected for the highest target share of any tight end. Like we have him projected for more of a share than Kelsey, more of a share than Waller, more of a share than Kittle.
Yeah.
Which is reflective of how he plays. It's just that it's so like when you're doing projections, it's very hard to be like, yeah, this team's going to pass the ball 16 times. You know, we have these crazy projections for Goddard pretty much every week he was our number 1 value tight end this week. But again, it's hard to account for the outcomes where they literally throw the ball 16 times. I mean, how many times did Hurts throw it today?
I think I don't have it in front of me. Probably 24.
24 times, which is the most of he's thrown in the last month, right?
Yeah, I had Goddard for nearly a 25% target share, and I had Schultz for barely above 15. And so
you played better than me, but it was a feel thing on Schultz, and I liked the late swap, which I should have probably tried to do. I was just too depressed to even look, because there was a way to get Kelsey,
Yeah, this was an all-time like Davis swap.
I didn't think I needed it. Right, I didn't think I needed it because every play basically busted in the first game. I mean, Ingram kind of got there, CMC kind of got there, and Adams got there. But other than that, I was expecting Mahomes to beat by Tua by 10. And for Tyreek to come close to matching Adams, and for Higgins to get his weekly 13.5, and so I needed to swap at halftime of the 4 p.m. games is what I needed. Yeah. And then we all played the Browns defense.
Yeah.
I mean, they were just a lock. Yeah. All right. I'll do my shitty red zone team first. So this team, I actually didn't mega chalk donkey it, and I played Joshua Allen. Played him at 8.3% owned, played AJ Dillon at 50% owned. I played the third string running back for the Tennessee Titans, Donta Foreman, at 8.3%. Pringle at 6% as my exposure to that game. Diggs at 10%. Michael Pittman Jr. as the bring back at 4.3%. John Bates at 10%, and Zeke as the leverage for what that game ended up being, which was terrible for fantasy. It's just Zeke got injured. The Browns defense, this team got 92 points, and it was terrible.
Yet again, Zeke going off with an injury that like should sideline him for the game, and he just
can't.
Right back out there. It's like, no. Can't let Pollard cut me.
I actually, honestly, this team is terrible, but like looking at it, I'm like, I'm pretty fine with all these decisions I made. I didn't even consider the possibility that Dontrell Hilliard would be the Titans' leading back guy. I also didn't really consider the possibility that the Titans would lose outright to the Houston Texans. And I didn't consider the possibility that the Colts could score 40 points with Michael Pittman Jr. getting 2 receptions. And so I guess that's just an opportunity for me to expand my mind a little bit more.
I think my team was even worse.
I mean, looking at these ownerships and looking at how everything correlated, I feel pretty good about the decisions I made here. I'd probably play this again, to be honest.
I did a Josh Allen double stack. I was happy with the ownership percentages when I saw them flipped. Josh Allen, it was under 10%. Diggs and Knox were both under 10%, and I felt great about that.
Knox was who I had on this team originally, and then I was like, dude, I need a Zeke team to own the libs, so I swapped Knox and some 5K guy to Bates and Zeke.
Yeah. And then at running back, I went Connor, Wilson. I had Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Marcus Johnson as my Marcus Johnson was the one guy. Every once in a while, I build this way where I have
this is why I think Marcus Johnson was bad. Wasn't he 12%?
No, he was single digits.
Okay. Never mind.
I mean, he was 3,500. He was 3,500. Julio's dead. Chester. I mean, all these other guys for Tennessee are dust. So I was like, I actually thought Tennessee was going to smash here. I did not.
I think that was a common opinion.
So, yeah. I had a lot of Ryan Tannehill, Marcus Johnson stuff. So Marcus Johnson going out on the first play or the first drive of the game, not helpful.
Marcus Johnson and AJ Brown both went out.
Well,
right? AJ
came back in and then went out and then came back in and went out again.
Little did you know that Westbrook Akine would be back in our lives in a big way.
They just had to cut Josh Reynolds for him to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so neither of you Jackson Apes is cashed.
No.
I also did not cash. I think my team.
I thought you'd lead with I got this sick min cash out of my Jalen Hurts naked with Tommy Tremble at tight end team.
Oh, no, buddy. I would murder a small family for a min cash at this point. I did a Mahomes double with Mahomes, Tyreek, and Byron Pringle. And
Pringle should have gotten us so paid, Sammy. He should have gotten us so paid. He was the best play in that game. He had the 37-yarder on the second drive. I mean, we should have gotten paid, dude. It's
so unfair. We just run bad,
Yeah.
Obviously, the best GPP play that there was. I brought it back with both Schultz and Michael Gallup.
Yeah,
So I
the
did
Schultz was the good Dallas play.
Yeah. And then I played Nick Chubb in this lineup.
He was my favorite.
I love Chubb. It was just so hard to fit him with these expensive QB teams. I played him on one of my spy teams.
Yeah. I mean, the real play was Jonathan Taylor. Obviously in retrospect,
turns out
because he scored 14 touchdowns. But the other thing is that Jonathan Taylor is, besides CMC, basically the best fantasy player, like the best, and nobody played him because of a bad matchup. And it's just like,
I think no one played him for the same reason that people didn't really play CMC, and for the reason that people didn't really play Chubb that much, which is just that the cheap running backs, dude, it's just more fun to make teams. It's way more fun to make teams with a bunch of 5K running backs and sick quarterbacks and expensive wide receivers than it is to be like, I can't decide if I want to play Marcus Johnson or Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. Like,
I mean, it's true, but like Taylor literally gets 100 yards and like multiple touchdowns always. Like it never does.
Like every week.
Yeah, every week. And I think people like looked at it, and if they were, if I was choosing an expensive running back, it was CMC or it was
Chubb.
Right? But like, why don't we take the best guy who nobody plays because of a bad matchup? Weren't you worried about the matchup? No, dude, he scored 5 touchdowns. Like the guy's a complete animal. So that would have been really smart. But I did Chubb, Dillon, and Jeff Wilson. So I went fairly chalky with running back. I just got a little weird with Chubb. And then I rounded it out with the Eagles DST. Like I said, I was a really big fan of the Eagles DST. They were the best play in my entire lineup. Probably.
See, I thought that the Bills defense was the best. So I played the Browns and the Bills as my 2 defenses in tournaments this week.
You played the Browns? Defense.
Yeah.
Buddy, you can't play a 20% or a 30% owned defense.
Davis. Wait, what?
What are you talking about?
Davis, that's like the easiest exclusion in the history of like GPP. Dude,
yeah, what are you talking about? We talked about this like 2 weeks ago or last week.
If you're going to get at me about last week's running backs, you don't
you
play a DST at 30% or a tight end at 40%. Like those are the 2 positions that are the most volatile in all of like projecting, and you deal with projections all week long. Why would you get on the chalk at defense?
Because I just played bad.
Davis is taking the L, Nate. He's taking the L.
I just played bad. Like I just played bad. Like I also Tim Boyle is like the woat ever. So I was just like, I was fine with it.
You were like, they are definitely scoring 17 points and they're gonna break the slate. I have to be part of this.
Yeah, I gotta play 20% on Browns.
Buddy, I could have played them with Nick Chubb as like the DST running back correlation. I was like, nah, I gotta get off this. Like
I'm looking at it now. I only played the Browns on one team. I played the Bills on all my other ones, and should.
Yeah, I was a lot of Philly and Baltimore. Those were the teams that I landed on.
I didn't have a good read this week for tournaments. Honestly, normally like when I build, I'm like, okay, I want 2, 3-1 on this team. I want a 2-1 on this team. I want bringbacks here. I just didn't have a great feel looking at like the way I built these lineups. Didn't have a good feel this week.
I mean, all I knew was that I wanted to play Pringle, and that I wanted to play a bunch of these cheap running backs, and that I didn't want to play any running backs in my flex because I knew that the 3 running back builds were going to be really popular. But
I wanted
AJ Dillon.
I wanted Josh Allen stacks with Cincinnati exposure, and that was with Tennessee fillers.
Man,
and it did not go well.
Jeff Wilson Jr., by the way, like some of the most gnarly run bad you're going to have. 21 touches. Debo scores a rushing touchdown. Jimmy G misses him. Wide ass open.
Oh, that was brutal, Jimmy.
And then the Debo rushing. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but Trey Sermon cucked him a bunch too, and we weren't at all worried about Trey Sermon, and we should have been.
No, Trey Sermon.
Davis was too worried about Tony Jones.
No, Trey
wasn't thinking about the real threat.
Trey Sermon had until the last drive of the second quarter. Trey Sermon had 1 carry. It was because the Jaguars did not do their part.
Well, that's true, but the Jaguars were never going to do their part.
Yeah, but they were only it was what 6-point faves, like. And also
the bottom line was Jeff Wilson. Did he get a target?
Yeah. That we just talked about.
The one he missed. Yeah.
And he caught it. He caught another one too.
But we knew Jeff Wilson wasn't going to see double-digit target share. Like Jeff Wilson was a guy that you're playing for the 20 rushing attempts.
It was the same thing as when we aped into Eli Mitchell, who smashed for us. He just ran bad.
Yeah, we know San Francisco guys like that aren't going to get crazy running back targets. But
well,
this was a crappy week. I even did good in cash, and I hate this week.
I hate this week, and I didn't do good in cash.
Yeah, I just didn't really have a very good time. Very, very big. Like week 8, Mark Andrews dropping a touchdown with 99 yards vibes.
But you guys got to step it up in these 3-man stand. If I did like a 3-man standing this year, you guys are just not doing well.
Oh, well, look at that. Is it about time to end the podcast, or?
Yeah.
It sure is getting late.
It sure is getting late. Do you guys want to do a Thanksgiving preview for the people?
We were talking about it before we started recording, Davis. This Thanksgiving slate.
It's like probably the worst Thanksgiving slate of our life.
Is Justin Fields going to play?
See, I think he went to the concussion tent, right?
I heard like nothing about it. It was very weird. It was like he was pulled in.
Well, I mean, Nagy has just been trying to get Dalton the job back because he doesn't know how to coach Justin Fields.
Maybe this could be good things for Cole Kmet. I don't know, but I will tell you, like, we're not going to have CD Lamb. We're not going to have Amari Cooper.
Yeah. Thank God they haven't done the pricing yet, because Cedric Wilson and those guys would all be 3,000.
Yeah. I mean,
so at least we're going to have to do, like, Gallup's going to be 6,800 probably.
Yeah. What's Malik Turner going to be? We need to have some Malik Turner in our lives.
He'll be the cheapest. He'll be the cheapest.
Going to be our boy who's going to like.
Oh my God! Can you imagine
Pollard on Thanksgiving Day?
I would actually, if Pollard, if Zeke is out, I will MME on Thanksgiving. I will play a bunch because it's just finally time.
I actually think it's better if Zeke plays. It's better if Zeke plays so that you get Pollard at lower ownership, and then Zeke hobbles off the field, and then Pollard just does what he does.
How many
every
weeks
time
in a row
Pollard touches the ball, he looks electric. It's insane.
I love the Nate boots on the ground film watching takes. This is great. Go on, Nate.
Dude, every time Pollard touches the ball, it's insane how much more explosive he looks than Zeke. It's insane. Even when Zeke's not hobbling. It's so shocking to me that they don't give him more touches.
Yeah.
I just don't get it.
All right. I can't do this anymore. I can't.
Sucks, guys.
Yeah. Really excited to watch this Chargers-Steelers Sunday Night Football game.
I mean, it's already great. Deontay Johnson is already alphing as we record.
All right. Well, I can't wait for him to fumble the game away.
I got some Chase Claypool overs, so hopefully.
Yeah. Ben just missed Deontay, and now Najee Harris is going to get a 1-yard touchdown. All right. Let's end it, everyone. We'll see you back next week, hopefully for well, I don't know. Maybe you guys like it when we lose. So
send more invites.
Whatever you want. Yeah, send more invites. Whirling Dervish, Nate, and Davis Maddock. We'll be back next week.